It's 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it's time for BCTV's weekly media roundup. I'm Roland Boyden alongside Adam Hinckley. We are the hosts of 545 Live. We got a jam-packed gallery walk style edition here as we broadcast live from the River Garden, where the Strolling of the Heifers is getting ready to open the doors on yet another downtown event. But we've also got plenty of headline news and a jam-packed week. Adam, break it down for us on this wild week here in the news that we've got on tap for our viewers here.
You got it, Roland. Tonight, the Santa's story, in-depth and uncut, including footage from the WCAX coverage. All the Town Meeting Day 2014 news, including Putney's move to rescue, and Brattleboro's 1% approval.
All that and more, and we do it in 15 minutes, so if you've got the time and the attention span, stick with us right here on 545 Live.
We looked at some statistics. It was interesting to see just how much gun ownership has gone up amongst females in this country.
The gun industry is targeting a new clientele these days: women.
It's just that sense of power, and there's something inside all of us that likes that.
Hello and welcome back to this March 7th, 2014 edition of 545 Live.
That's footage from the film A Girl and a Gun, one of the documentaries showing at the Women's Film Festival, the internationally acclaimed fundraiser for the Women's Freedom Center in Brattleboro. More info on their jam-packed schedule of movies, including tonight's opening gala, and info on the Freedom Center itself, all at womensfilmfestival.org. Just one of the many things happening here as part of Gallery Walk in downtown Brattleboro. We are broadcasting, you may have noticed, from the River Garden here. We better launch into the story, so why don't you take it away?
That's right, Roland. A shocking number of dead animals have been discovered at Santa's Land. A total amount of 18 carcasses have been discovered at the theme park, enraging animal rights activists and the general populace alike. The police found 16 dead deer, a pheasant, and a pot-bellied pig. The owner and animal caretaker were cited with animal cruelty and are scheduled to appear in court on April 29th. Santa's Land is also receiving angry comments on their Facebook page. One concerned citizen said, quote, "You should be ashamed and never allowed animals again," while another said, "I love Santa's Land. I hope all of this gets resolved." As you can see, people are very divided on this subject. The state has allowed them to keep their park open, as long as proper care is given to the remaining animals, but we'll hear more about that in the near future. Moving on, last Tuesday was Town Meeting Day, where BCTV, as promised, filmed all 7 meetings in all 7 towns.
In addition, Town Meeting Day was Election Day here in Brattleboro as well. Voters turning out to the polls, but Brattleboro Representative Town Meeting isn't slated to hit the BCTV airwaves until later at the end of March, but there was still plenty of controversy here as the voters barely approved the 1% local option sales tax with a final tally of 438 to 402. Now, this is a non-binding resolution that was added to Australian ballot, but many believe that the town meeting representatives will elect to back the decision made by the voters at large, but we'll have to find out at town meeting. All right, from there, we're going to check in with an action-packed thrill ride that was Town Meeting Day 2014 in all the 7 surrounding towns Adam mentioned. We'll start in Putney, where we dubbed it in the headlines, "Rescue was rescued." The local emergency service and ambulance provider had their longtime contract with the town on the line with competing bids from Golden Cross, who could have picked up all of Putney's ambulance service contracts, but after much debate at an epic 6-hour Putney town meeting this past Tuesday, the voters did decide to stay with Rescue. We've got some clips of that. Let's take a look.
Nothing that I'm going to say in any way do I want to be construed as denigration to Golden Cross, who I think is really great for what they do and for what they have to offer. However, there is a tremendous difference, and it's a difference that is not always easy to see when you're just looking at numbers. $22,000 is not a lot of money when you're talking about whether someone's going to make it or not make it. When you're talking about the life of a person, $22,000 is nothing.
Speaking of town meeting day, Vernon voters decided to drop their local police department because of budget cuts, which would give the town of Vernon, quote, fewer and slower police responses, said Vernon Police Sergeant Bruce Gauld. The budget cuts will commence in the next fiscal year after the original budget was cut down from $302,095 to $40,000 because of Vermont Yankees closing, leaving only enough for the town to hire outside police support, such as the state police or the Windham County Police Department, to replace local officers.
Moved and seconded to reduce police department funding for the ensuing year by an amount of $262,095, leaving $40,000 in the line item to be used by the Select Board in hiring the Windham County Sheriff's Department or Vermont State Police as needed.
I don't think it will cause an increase in crime in this community. We will still have feet on the street with the Sheriff's Department. It's not like when you contract with the Sheriff's Department, everything goes away. I think we should pass this amendment.
You've been spoiled with us here. We answer just about everything you call for, we come to, okay? State police, if you use the state police, they don't respond to medical calls. They don't respond to barking dog calls. You're not going to get 140 hours a week coverage for the same amount of money.
So I would recommend to defeat the amendment, at least until we see basically what happens as far as moving forward. But just to do this right now is the wrong thing to do because we don't have the stuff that we need in place.
You can see all 3 nights of the Vernon town meeting that unfolded. There's Vernon Part 1, which includes the originally scheduled first 2 nights of debate, and then a 3-hour third night is up there as a special Vernon Town Meeting Part 2 on BrattleBoroTV.org, where each and every one of the town meetings from the 7 surrounding communities BCTV serves can all be streamed in their entirety at your leisure. Again, the website's www.BrattleBoroTV.org. All right, time to move on here into our one of our latest features, the Reformer Roundup. This is where we check in with the Tout.com video channel of the Brattleboro Reformer, where their photographers and reporters can upload short video clips from the field as they report. Now we're going to check in with one of the latest stories posted this morning, which has to do with V-Trans on the Putney Park Ride, but we've got our own set of script here, so Adam, I'll swing it over to your close-up. You can break it down on that for us.
Well, this week, V-Trans officially greenlit construction of a proposed park and ride location on the Putney-Demerson Town Line just off Exit 4, despite the project's pending appeal review in the state's environmental courts. The project, which is slated to include parking for up to 84 area commuters, has been met with criticism from area residents who contest the volume of the project despite the $0 price tag for local taxpayers.
For more now, we're going to take a 5:45 Live rewind in time to our exclusive coverage during the project's initial open forum phase this past fall. Let's roll it. Well, it's anyone's guess which town has more penchant for controversy, Dummerston or Putney. But with a new V-Trans I-91 commuter park and ride proposed for an area just over the town line, it's got both municipalities involved.
While doing the corridors, the area around Exit 4 has come up as, what do we do? What's the best use of this land, especially where we're going from Dummerston and transitioning to Putney Village? How do we best do that?
And a special joint meeting of both development review boards from the municipalities of Putney and Dummerston met at the Putney Firehouse behind me yesterday to discuss the upcoming project with members of V-Trans.
When we go inside, we'll open up a public meeting and you'll have ample opportunity to bring the issues that you may have thought about in the site visit and discuss them in public. And
our main function was to attempt to get the interstate interchanges that had surfaced as high priorities in each of the regions, and that's how this project came about.
Next up, it's It's been more than 30 years since Massachusetts resident Donald Brown found himself hospitalized after a series of knee surgeries that, according to the attending physician, would leave him wheelchair-bound for the rest of his life. A hospitalization during which Brown dreamed an impossible fantasy of traveling across the lower 48 states on foot, in addition to earning a law degree at Harvard. Now, 30 years later, Brown has managed to realize both dreams and publish a successful memoir documenting his remarkable journey, bringing about a future that only he saw possible.
I used to think about if I ever got to walk again, I would really walk. And I thought about walking across the country and all the different places I would like to go, either places that I had spent some time or places that I wanted to see. What I eventually realized much later after the walk was I had walked through my life. I walked through all the things that places were important to me or places that I had never got to see that I wanted to see.
That's Donald Brown discussing his memoir, The Morphine Dream, in BCTV's studios this spring, including his walk from Brattleboro to Bennington. You can find 545 Live's full interview with Brown, streaming now on BCTV's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brattleboro TV, all one word. Alright, moving on. For years, Leadership Southeast Vermont has offered business, academic, and municipal leaders from across the region a series of workshops aimed at promoting a strengthened relationship with the community at large. With this spring's 2014 workshop series found 11 of the region's leaders at the doorstep of BCTV's very own downtown studios to partake in an impromptu studio production as BCTV staff demonstrated the raw power of public access in the new age of video technology.
You or your company or organization can impact a lot of different things. So we've talked everything about and gone to different classes about the history of the region, economics, economic development, all the way up to today, which includes utilization of media and social media.
I would add on to that and say how our company works within the region and what impacts we may have, and then through leadership training, how we then can impact what's going on around us in the communities.
Well, just a few things to wrap up here as things get underway with the Strolling of the Heifers event here at the River Garden. Plenty of artists and art and food and fun on hand here, so be sure to come on down and check it out. Doors are open again here down at the River Garden. But before we send you away for the weekend for good, we'll check in with the weather, courtesy of BUHS TV, the high school's morning news advisory broadcast team.
Tomorrow there's going to be a high of 42 and a low of 15. And finally on Sunday there's going to be a high of 34 and a low of 19. Back to the den.
That does it for another edition of 545 Live here. Thanks for checking in with this gallery walk style remote broadcast edition live from the River Garden. We hope you've appreciated what we've had on deck here on 545 Live.
Not so fast, Roland. There is one more thing. We all know he may be important, but BCTV production manager Roland Boyden is not nearly as important as the news in this week's BCTV interactive calendar. The facts are great, the quality's first rate. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's head over to Roland with this week's interactive calendar. Over to you, Roland.
We'll start on Thursday, March 6th, tonight, in fact, as Brattleboro Area Hospice gets set to kick off their weekly open forum series. This is a series of discussions on end-of-life care. It's open to the public. They kick off at 6:30 at the Gathering Place each Thursday, including this Thursday, where Joanna Reuter, who's an advanced care planning coach, trained hospice volunteer, and the owner of Sustainable Aging, will lead the workshop. For more, we've got spotlight video from the last time Joanna was here in our downtown studios.
When you're living in a home setting, we have seen a real trend towards financial exploitation, drug diversion, things that you wouldn't necessarily see if someone were being more closely supervised.
Well, that's all we have for this very special remote broadcast edition of 545 Live. We appreciate you tuning in and hope to see you next week.